What's up, everybody? It is me, Adam Barrera, also known as Adam the Flop. And today I'm so excited because I am joined by Max, incredible singer, songwriter, and producer. How are you doing today?
Great, man. Adam the Flop. I didn't know that was the other name. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm great. I'm happy. I just had some coffee. I'm feeling good energy. I'm happy to be with you.
Period. Love that.
Yeah, baby.
Well, I'm so excited to talk to you because you have some exciting music coming out. You just released Strings, a song that I'm obsessed with right now.
Oh, thank you very much.
But I really want to start from the beginning.
Sure.
And kind of just talk about what led you to the moment you're at now.
Yeah.
If that's good with you.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
But let's start from the beginning because I really want to know just what got you started into the music industry or just singing, songwriting in general.
Yes. So I grew up in New York, right in the middle, Hell's Kitchen, New York City. It's a real place. It's not just a Gordon Ramsay TV show. I grew up there. I was surrounded by buskers and Broadway shows. And so it's kind of my vibe. It's like musical theater meets, soul music and everything I was surrounded by. And I started seeing shows and doing them on my living room table with underwear on when I was like 4 years old and like Lion King and everything. And so I caught the bug early. And then I did my first real gig when I was in a show called 13 the Musical with Ariana Grande and Elizabeth Gillies. And that was my first actual pro gig when I was 16 in New York. And that's sort of where the music sort of began. I was like writing music and doing my own stuff. But that was when I really started taking it seriously and doing more gigs, and I just started, doing my first shows right around when I was like 16 years old.
16, that's so young. It sounds like you were in the perfect place, though, for all that to happen.
For sure,
But is that then how Nickelodeon
came
to be through 13?
Kind of, yeah. It was so funny. We all talk about it. I don't see them that often, but whenever I see Ari or Elizabeth Gillies or some of the people I came up with, it's always interesting that we all took this similar path where we went from that show to Nickelodeon, and we didn't like plan that by any means. Mm-hmm. It was just that I went to NYU for like 5 seconds. I dropped out after 3 months, and I auditioned for Nickelodeon, and I had auditioned for that casting director a lot of times, and finally. It's funny. There's this movie called Rags that I was in, and it was it's a big piece of my soul, and it's cool that a lot of people still know it. But I remember very deeply that I showed up to the audition with my ukulele, and I always went to every audition with it. And my agent was like, "Please don't show up with your ukulele. It's a hip hop musical. It's not that." And I did it anyway because I was like, you know what? And they wrote it into the whole movie, and that's how Nickelodeon started for me. I did that audition, and I always hold that story because it was like I had to have a piece of myself with me that kind of formed into that movie, and then the TV show How to Rock happened after that, and I moved out here and came out with my parents. I was driver licenseless because I was growing up in New York, and so I went from being like a kid on the subway to my mom driving me everywhere when I was like 19 years old, and it was my Nickelodeon start. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
It sounds like, Rags was a huge moment, like a really special moment.
Yeah.
I would say like for you and Kiki both.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it was cool to, I know you've been like performing songs from Rags recently too, which we're
going to get into,
but like
definitely.
Really cool. It must feel like a full circle moment for you to like seeing those on stage now.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
When you were doing those Nickelodeon projects, that was also when you got your first record deal, correct?
Yes, yeah. Through Nickelodeon, and it was so funny. I saw a video recently while I was on tour. Like, I don't know how this guy knew it, but he knew that I was like in a record label deal that I was like shelved for 3 years, and I couldn't put my own original music. I was like, how does this guy know all of this? It's crazy. But when I did Nickelodeon, they had a record deal involved with Columbia Records, and it was all the Nickelodeon people and all the Glee people all at the same time. Everybody, you kind of had to sign that record label deal in order to do the musical projects on Nickelodeon, and yeah, that was my first record deal.
Got you. But in turn, you couldn't do any other musical project of your own.
No, it was like kind of, but it was a blessing in disguise because I learned how to pivot, how to work around things, and I started doing like covers on YouTube because that was the loophole, and you always have to kind of just take whatever the universe gives you and figure out how to make it work. So it was frustrating at the time that they were like, I was in line with a couple other people on my shows. Like once they put their album out, your album can come out, but that was kind of never going to happen. So I had to figure out, okay, if they're never going to really support it, then how do I build something? And so that's why I started doing the covers.
Right. I want to talk a little bit about those covers because I feel like at that time, covers on YouTube were just such an era.
Crazy.
It was huge. Like there was very much a large niche for that. And I feel like, there's cover singers now on TikTok that are really big, but I feel like YouTube was really when covers were just at its peak.
Truly.
And you were sort of at the forefront of that. And the amount of views and audience members that you gained from that sort of shows that. But is that when you felt like you were getting fans for just your voice and your music in general?
Totally, yeah. And that was music. I didn't really have a lot of confidence. I realized this in therapy now. Growing up, I didn't have as much confidence that music is all I ever wanted to do, but I enjoyed acting, and the musical theater kind of gave me both. And I was just trying to find avenues that I could showcase the music. And I ended up getting to a place where the covers were cool because I took my power back. It was like the record label thing, I couldn't put things out. That was such a hindrance to I couldn't share what I wanted to share. But because the covers, we produced them ourselves. We did them in my living room. Like, I did most of those music videos with my friend Kurt Schneider. We're not related. Everybody thinks we are, but we were basically brothers. And we would just he and one other awesome videographer, Manny, would just come to my house, and we'd set up these full music videos in my living room. And it was nobody could tell us what to do. We were doing that on our own. It wasn't like we had some crazy producers. It was just 3 or 4 people just making it happen. And that was really cool to not only showcase my own style, but also to kind of realize there's no Wizard of Oz behind this. You just kind of have to make it happen and do it with people who are creative.
That's so special. And do you remember the first cover of yours that really took off when you did that? What was it?
I remember it so vividly. It was Break Even by The Script. I remember that was one of the first ones. And Kurt I've actually shot a lot of music videos in that same space since. It's in downtown LA. It's super crazy. And we were in that space, and that one was a big production. We had a full rig, a full music video rig, probably 10 people. And I remember doing it and being wow, this is what I want. This is my dream to do this. And I remember being with my friends in our little car outside, parked out when it came out, and being oh my God, the video's finally out. That feeling, I try to treasure that feeling because you get a little jaded as you go on in this. And I remember being with my friends, they're this looks so good. Damn, dude, this is crazy. And I'll never forget that feeling because it was that was so cool that we just made something and it looked so amazing. I couldn't believe how cool it looked, and the song itself was cool. And I remember that it got 1 million views, and at the time that was that was insane. The dream. Yeah. That was the goal. I was I can't believe this has 1 million views. And so that cover is always really special to me. Break Even by The Script.
Yeah. So do you listen to that song now and you're or if it comes on, you just think of that?
It rarely comes on, but when I guess so. When it does come on, I rarely think about it too, but it's cool you asked that because I'm right back in that car when you say that, which is cool.
Because I just feel that's one of the classic songs just from 2000s. And so in general, good. When you listen to it, I feel a sense of nostalgia when I listen to it.
Yes.
But for you, it's probably so different because it's nostalgic in the sense that it was your first one to just blow up.
Yes. Well, I also had a high school girlfriend who loved The Script, and I remember her showing me that song. So I'm song? Yeah. Just cracked a little bit. So I remember being in New York and her showing me The Script for the first time. So it's a little bit of both feelings. It's it's amazing how music can do that, how you can be remembering one of those songs, that nostalgia of I'm in New York right now with that girl, remembering her playing me The Script for the first time, and then doing the cover a year or two later, which was different feelings, but both still very powerful.
Definitely. Yeah. Absolutely. And when you finally were able to start releasing your own music, kind of taking time away from the covers, what was that feeling like?
Freeing. Yeah, it was really scary because I think I self-admit that there was almost a comfort where it was somebody's preventing me from doing this, so I'm going to figure out something else. And then when I was finally kind of free from that, you almost have to just face yourself oh wait, now I really can do it. What am I going to do with the opportunity to actually be able to release stuff? And I had to kind of adjust to that because it was the first time in my life for 5 years that I had that feeling. And it was amazing, but then I really had to grow from there to realize, well, now I just have to, the responsibility is my own to make sure it's the best I can give. And there's no excuse anymore. I have to make sure that whatever music I release, I'm really proud of, and I've been waiting for this moment. And sometimes when that moment comes, it feels different than you think it's going to feel,
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a little more raw and vulnerable than you expect. I think I thought I'd have more confidence, but I ended up starting to build the confidence the second I could.
And did you find it easy for your YouTube audience, the audience that you were gaining on through your covers, to just stay interested with your original music that you were putting out?
No, definitely not. Yeah. I feel I've at least experienced this in my very specific, unique position of I feel I've always had a little box to get out of. Maybe it's people see you a certain way. Okay, gotta use it like a chip on your shoulder. You know what you can give, so you keep pushing past it. So it's I definitely have had so many amazing fans that have been with me through all of the stages. But also I understand that maybe somebody came to my music because they liked the covers. They weren't there for the original stuff. They liked the covers. They came to Nickelodeon. They like Nickelodeon. Maybe they so to finally get to the place where it was my own music took a while. I felt to really get it out there and also convince. And I think that's also why I ended up going by just Max at a certain point. I almost had to like start over and rebrand,
Yeah.
but it still was me. But this is actually the year where I feel like I've sort of brought all the worlds together, where it's like, wait a sec, the same guy from Rags is the one that maybe you've heard Lights Down Low or some of those songs. And,
Definitely.
And this is literally this summer was the summer I sort of accepted all of that and brought it all together.
Yeah, I love that. And speaking of Lights Down Low, that was really a huge moment. I remember just like hearing on the radio all the time.
Yeah.
And it was really special because at the time you put it out when you were under an indie record label, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was it like making that song, I guess, just blow up on radio without like a major label? Because a lot of times we see major label songs taking off on radio, and we rarely see songs by independent artists having that moment. Yeah. So I'm curious to know about that.
It was a grind. If anything, I think it each moment has given me the teaching of it doesn't matter if you're the big label or you have nothing. The grind is there, and I'm actually grateful for the indie grind because I approach everything with that grind. Like no matter the budget, no matter anything, I went to every radio station in the US in a minivan. I worked that song for 2 years, and it was an incredible journey, and it meant something because I wrote that song for my wife. I proposed to her with that song. It was actually the first song that some people at the time I was working with didn't want me to tell that story. They were like, you should be single and there's got to be mystery and we don't want you to be, reveal that you are married and what the song is about. And that was actually one of the first times in my career where I was like, I don't really care what it does. I have to tell the truth. And if that is career suicide or whatever you want to say, then I'm accepting of that. And so that I kind of just let it all go. I was like, I'm just going to grind this out as long as I can take it. I have nothing to lose. Yeah. And it's been amazing that song has meant so much to me and that people heard it in such a grand way around the world. And every time I sing it, I never get tired of it, which is a gift I have that some friends of mine, I know maybe their most recognized work, they like stay away from. But with that song, I'll sing it till I'm 95 and I'll be happy.
It's a great song.
Thank
so
you, man.
Might as well.
Thanks, man.
But yeah, what were the reactions of the people who are saying, maybe this isn't the best idea to release this song, kind of going with that single vibe that they wanted to go with? What was their reaction when they saw this song taking off?
How do I describe this? I'm so honest. It was beautiful because I think that certain people really respected my humanness more, which I think a lot of artists, struggle with. It's like, we are the product, you are the brand, but you still have to find some foundation in your life that you can have something that grounds you so you don't get lost. You don't, because it's so fickle, like this, I love what I do, but you subject yourself to such scrutiny as a human. And I think a lot of those people, when I made that stance, I think maybe they saw my human elements more and respected my private choices more. Mm-hmm. And by revealing my private life, I ended up finding more balance in my private life because I had more boundaries for it. And so some of those people weren't happy with me, but I think their goals for my overall life were different than my own. And maybe I would be Justin Bieber level if I had listened to them, but I also think that I'm supposed to be on my own path. Justin Bieber is supposed to be Justin Bieber, and I adore him and his career for what it is. But those people wanted that success. They wanted me to be doing stadiums from that time. And and of course everybody on your team does, but I had to sort of say, like, I'll get there in my own way. I don't think I can do it in your way. And that's okay. Yeah. Like, anybody who does it in that way, that's what they're meant to do. And I respect that. But I couldn't do it in that way.
Definitely. I feel like you as an artist, you want to share things about your life.
Yeah.
And in your music and your videos, everything like that, which is what you do. And I feel like now more than ever, people are striving for that connection with their favorite artists. They really want to know every detail about them because we just see so many artists nowadays online. Yes. And so it is nice that you were able to kind of stand up for yourself and show that this is who you are, because now ever since then your fans know everything about you.
Yeah.
So it's it really works out.
It's beautiful. However long later, it's cool to see that people respect my family and relationship and aren't there for it, but they're like, how is Emily? How is they know, but they it isn't weird. It really is in a beautiful way where I feel even more connected to them. Like, I'll meet a fan for the first time And I feel like they've maybe spent more time with me than I've spent with them, but I don't feel that way when I meet them. It feels like, oh, we know each other, like we connect. And that, I think the part of that is being open about that. And there's also other artists I'm friends with that keep that mystery, and that's so cool. I love artists that have a deep mystery, but I'm not meant to be that artist. I'm meant to be the artist that hopefully you see me on the street and we hug for the first time, even though you haven't met me before. You know?
Exactly. People just feel like they know you. Yeah.
And I love that.
And can I just say, with Lights Down Low, I love the Teeny remix.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's
so
a good deep cut. That was so fun.
Like,
Thanks, Ed.
I've always loved that ever since you put it out. But I think like that was really cool too, to see you release the different remixes with it, with Nash and Teeny, because they're both like so different.
So different.
But I feel like they both added something really special to the songs.
I think it's from being an only child and a solo artist. I am so addicted to collaborating. Clearly, you see it in my career, but I love like bringing different people in and having it become something new because of their voice. And that with Nash, with Teeny, even with like strings currently, having Jake and Bazzi, and I love doing the different versions because it makes the song, it's the same core, but it brings something new that's exciting to me and hopefully exciting to the audience.
Definitely.
And great for you, for Teeny. Like, that's so cool.
Oh yeah, I'm like the biggest Teeny fan.
Amazing. So cool.
So yeah, it was iconic. But yeah, I think that like, I mean, it seems like your fans really understand the fact that you love collaboration.
Yeah.
And we see that not only with your music, but you also wrote one of BTS's songs.
Yes. Yeah,
which is so iconic. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because obviously it's not easy to be a songwriter and have a feature on a BTS project, but how did you get featured on the BTS album?
It happened so naturally, but it was like a combination of natural and really pursuing, which is sort of my way, I guess. So I worked with Suga of BTS on my own song Blueberry Eyes, and also his song Burn It on his August D project. And we met in Korea, and ever since then, you know, we've done a lot of stuff together and hung out. And so anytime they're around, we're like, you know, both on tour all the time. They have an incredible team. And I remember we were both in New York, and I was like, oh, I wonder if there's crossover. So my team reached out to see if like maybe we could all meet up. And they're like, oh no, they're leaving like the day before he gets there, but we're actually working on the new album, and like, could we send you some tracks to try? And I was like, whoa, definitely, yeah, for sure. I definitely didn't expect that. And so they sent me a few tracks. And one of the tracks, which ended up being Yet to Come, the song I had to write, I wrote it on the plane from LA to New York. I was just like so excited. I was like, so I'm in my seat. I'll never forget. I was like in the bathroom of the airplane, like writing this song. And then I recorded the version in my childhood bedroom in New York, sent it out. Didn't think it was that good. I was like, oh man, I hope this is good enough. Like, they're BTS. This is the most iconic. I want to give my best work. So I did that song. I ended up for the next 2 months writing with the best songwriters in LA. We wrote like 6 more songs to that track. I kept going. And then they're very mysterious as well. I respect it. Like, they have their own thing going. So I just didn't think I got it. And then I went to see them at SoFi Stadium, and I walk in with my wife, and one of the team members, she brought us in, and she was like, congratulations, by the way. And I was like, congratulations on what? And she was like, being on the next single for BTS. Like, we're using the song you wrote. And I was like, what? I was like, are you serious? And I get to my seat. I'm like, now the whole experience is a crowd. I'm like watching them at SoFi. I'm like, they're going to use that song. It's so, and I didn't know which one. I was like, and then I found out it was the one from my bedroom, and they had like, you know, morphed it and recreated what I did. And it was, I think because the core again was so like, so intimate in that space, and meant so much more. Like, this group that meant so much to me, and then being in that space, it was just such a dream. And then I remember hearing their version for the first time, and Anderson .Paak played on the live version. I was like, what is happening? This is it's so special as a songwriter when you make like a little idea, it's your little song, and then a group like them makes it something so spectacular.
Huge.
So it's one of the things I'm most proud of in my life, for sure. And I'm honored that they used it.
Yeah, for sure. And like, their audience is just huge. So what was I mean, you said that the first time you heard it, you were just surprised at the fact that like Anderson .Paak was on the song.
Yeah.
But like, where were you when you first heard the song?
I listened to the first version leaked because it's truly because like I saw something online. I was like, oh my God, I got to hear it. Cause they don't send it to you respectfully until it's out. Like,
yeah, for sure.
They're so, you know, sorry guys. The leaked version, I was like, I'm not going to spread it, but I'm going to listen. Yeah. And I remember hearing like V listening. I was like, what is happening? This is amazing. Everybody was singing. I heard Jungkook's voice, and I was like, whoa, this is this is it. They did it. Like,
Yeah.
this is real. And then the actual version came out, and it was really cool to listen to it official. But listening to that leak, I like felt like a fan. I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like, I'm listening to the leak.
You're like a fan who discovers the leak online.
I love
like,
it.
Do I listen? Do I not
like?
listen?
I want to be respectful, but
Yeah.
like, it is there. And
I'm
I was
always
like,
the same way. Yeah.
I co-wrote it. I want to hear it. I have to hear it. So yeah, I have to be honest about that. But yeah, it was really special. I forget where I was, but I remember. I think it was in my house in LA. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So crazy.
Yeah, I love that. But you've also cut songs that artists release, but you recorded them beforehand.
Oh yeah.
And I was watching an interview where you said that you cut "Freaking Me Out" by Ava Max.
I did.
And I'm obsessed with that song.
Great song.
Like, I love that song so much. I love Ava Max.
Yes.
But are there any other songs that you've recorded that ended up going to other artists? Because I talk about this a lot on my page, and I think it's like such an interesting thing that people are really interested in.
It is so funny. My manager's laughing in the background. It's so funny. Yes, I have. And it's hard because I do co-write or write almost all my stuff. And every once in a while, there'll be a song. Like, a good example of that is that I did a song with Galantis called Satisfied, and I didn't know that Dua Lipa, who we were just talking about, there's a version of her with that song online.
Oh, wow.
And I ended up being the other side of it. Like, I ended up being the singer, which was really honored. But for me, yes, and it sucks when you're the artist that, like, you didn't write the song, so you have no power. You're like, oh, I respect that it goes to whichever artist is right. I had one called Wonder Woman that John Legend just put out. And God, I love that song so much. And I remember that the writers ended up having John Legend do it, which, again, he's an icon. I get it. But I loved that song. It was so hard but you have to respect that. Like, if you're not the writer, Dolly Parton's my hero, and she has written some of the best songs, and she's taken some songs, and like, you have to respect the songwriters that, like, they need to do what's right for them and where the song is right for. So, you know, but to this day, Wonder Woman, God, I love that song so much.
So ultimately, is it the songwriter's decision, the first people who are in the session creating the song, kind of deciding who they want to record it? Is that how that works?
It's a team effort, I would say, but yes. And by the way, as a songwriter, you know, there's such limited income, which is something a lot of people are starting to fight for now, where songwriters should have master points, which people, you know, I think the audience is starting to understand what like masters mean and everything because of Taylor Swift and how some of these iconic songs we hear, like the people who write the initial song get such a tiny piece of it. And so ultimately it is their baby. So it's like, yes, it starts from the songwriters, and of course they have teams, and the record labels are pushing for, you know, John Legend to have Wonder Woman over me, or, you know, whatever it may be. And in the end, I do think that it comes from the songwriters. They get to, which they should choose
For sure.
who the right person is, even whether that's a really established or a super new artist, you know. I remember hearing that actually about Glimpse of Us with Joji, with the same writers who did Wonder Woman. They were telling me a cool story about how such different artists cut that song, and how Joji was actually somebody that not everybody thought that song would be as huge as it was for, but like they were like, Joji, it's perfect. He sounds perfect. And like, now we all know, I mean, that's an incredible song. And I can't imagine it with a different artist. It was meant for him.
I was just going to say that same thing.
And that's what it's meant. Like, ultimately, when you're, like, if I were an artist that cut Glimpse of Us, I think that I would respect, like, he was meant to have that song. And so when that happens to me, it sucks, but I got to just accept it, you know?
For sure. I mean, at least you could still listen to the songs and be like, oh, wow, I recorded this once. But do you still have, like, those demos that you recorded?
Oh, my God.
Listen to your own versions, too?
I have one with Pharrell, too. I, like, worked with Pharrell a bunch a while back, and he ended up putting out the version of the song. So that was, like, I loved that song. It was called Sidewalk, and he ended up putting it out as Crave, it was called, and it was on the Hidden Figures soundtrack. And it was it was a dream to work with him. So it was like, I wasn't even pissed, but I was so, like, he ended up messaging me like, so sorry, man, I owe you one. Like, I'm gonna put this one out myself. And I was like, dang, okay, that's cool still.
You're like, I get it.
I get it, you know. So but I'll never forget that experience. I got to watch Stevie Wonder record with Snoop Dogg with Pharrell because I ended up cutting that song. So it's really like one of the coolest shows of my life.
Yeah, I would love to hear you on a song with Pharrell. I think that'd be really interesting. Do you think that you would ever like collab with him again?
I think so, because that was a while ago, but he looked me in the eyes and he was like, man, like, we'll get one, I promise you. So I hope we can manifest that happening. Him and Dolly Parton are my two, like, biggest dream collaboration, you know, manifesting worlds.
Pharrell and Dolly Parton on the same song.
Yeah, let's do that, dude. Dolly Parton and Pharrell
that could be a moment. Yeah.
I wouldn't. She's so cool. She would do it. Like, she's been on Galantis stuff. I feel like I think the world needs a Dolly Parton Max Pharrell song. That would be insane.
That'd be crazy. But speaking of this idea of collaboration, obviously you just put out Strings with Bazzi and Jake.
Yeah.
two fantastic artists as well. Can you talk a little bit about how this collaboration came to be? Were you connected with them beforehand? You guys are all under the Warner/Atlantic umbrella. Was it like a label thing?
No, never. It's never a label thing for me. I love, respectfully, like I've just realized at this point, if it's not natural in some way, if I don't have a connection with the artist, it's just not going to translate to the audience as well, you know? Like we can be connected maybe by labels sometimes, but with both of them, I'd known Bazzi for a while. We had met at a bunch of shows, just seen each other. And Jake had invited me to a show, but I have a baby. So I was like putting my baby, I was, oh man, Jake, I can't come to your show because I have like sleep training. It was such a dad moment. So both of them were natural. I wrote strings. I heard both of them separately on. I was like, well, let's see if either are interested. Sent it to both. They both wanted to do it. I was like, dang, okay, this is like maybe the best thing, but also how I'm going to make this work. Luckily, they were both fans of each other. So we figured it out and put each other all on one nice song called Strings, and it worked out. And I met Jake for the first time recently, didn't realize he was 6'7" and I'm 5'6". Made a hilarious TikTok about it. It was I think it was actually better that we had only talked online, because I feel like we connected so much musically, and then we met in person. I was like, this is so funny that you were so much taller than I am. I feel like I love that we were
like
both
you had
just
no
like,
idea about that
no
before.
idea. I looked it up like 2 days before and I was like, this is not right. 6'7", that can't, he didn't look that way. I think people think I'm way taller when they see my videos, and I definitely thought he was like my height watching his videos. So when I saw that, I was like, is this a typo? And then no, I show up and I was like, oh no, you're actually 6'7". This is that's insane.
Tall.
It's tall. Everybody that was like, no, he's not 6'7". I was like, nope, he literally is the height I said, I promise.
For sure,
but yeah, that's how we all met and made the song, and it's been cool. You know, I love every collaboration is a little more complicated, you know, and it finds its ways. We were all on tour. We just finished the music video. It took like 3 separate days in different cities, and we made it work.
Yeah, I want to talk about the video because it's coming out soon. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes.
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I have the incredible Dixie D'Amelio is starring in it. We met, I was touring with Big Time Rush, and she just toured with them too. So we met in Nashville and just connected, and we had like a mutual friend that had a funny story, and that kind of connected us. And so she ended up being in the video, and she's with my wife in the video. And I really wanted to capture how it feels. Like, I don't know what it feels like as maybe a fan of mine or a fan of music, like prepping for a concert, like the female experience. So my wife really helped, and she and Dixie are just like, they really connected in a beautiful, like, there's a feminine energy of just like how it feels. It's almost the best part of the night is before you go to the show. Like sometimes that connection with that other person. And so I wanted to capture that with the video, and Dixie did a great job. And so the video is them watching our music video with Jake, Bazzi, and I. So it was a kind of cool little meta moment of they're watching the music video, getting ready for the concert. And it was cute. And I'm really proud of how it turned out. And I love to be in the weeds of it. It was, you know, I spent like 12 hours editing it with my co-director, and it's always nice to, like, even though it's such a short little moment, all the love you put into it, it's always important. So I'm excited for people to see it. I hope they like it.
That's cool that you're really hands-on with the project too. It's not just like you record it and then send it off to an editor. The fact that you like want to edit it with the editor.
Absolutely. I think it comes back from those covers. You know, I'm just used to making it happen. So
for sure.
And I think the audience feels when maybe your heart isn't in it, or it was like made just with a bunch of money. I think it's important, at least for me. I always want to have a little bit of my soul in it.
Definitely. And what was it like performing that song on tour with?
Oh, so fun. I teach the crowd the choir part every time, the ooze, and that's always really exciting. And it's so cool to get like a full arena to sing the ooze. And I just like to conduct the energy. So it's a really fun song to do on tour and sort of create that connected audience experience, the fourth wall being broken down, you know?
Definitely. And I know, like, touring in general, I mean, I can't imagine just how fun it is, but also just how like draining it can be too. But are you the type of artist who is constantly writing and recording music while you're on tour, or is that something you sort of just do when you're kind of just on a break?
I personally more of the break side. Like when I'm on tour, I'm kind of sucked into that moment. It's really hard to do more things. Like I was putting together this music video while we were on tour, which already was so tough. Like you're in your tour bus with my co-director. We're just like writing up treatments, hanging out, and then you go do a show. It's like I could do that, but when I make music, it's a lot. I need to be a little more grounded, less on the road. But I always am jealous of artists who can do that. Who, like, I hear the story of like Patrick Stump from Fall Out Boy doing Dance Dance in the back of a van. Like that is such a cool story. But I don't really have those. It's mostly music videos.
Got you. Okay. But yeah, so the first time I heard Strings was on TikTok on my For You page.
Oh,
and
cool.
so then I just like looked at all the TikToks you made about Strings, and I just like, I love the way that you're sort of showing that song to the audience from the moment like you first tease it to like now. now. But what's it like sharing music on TikTok and sort of just promoting music on there?
It's so draining. It's so hard. I know that a lot of artists talk about that. I think that they're all tools as like TikTok, YouTube for me when it started and still is the tool being a creative method instead of being a like, this is your value. I think that's what I keep trying to bring myself back to. Like, how do I make this fun? Kind of get the joke a little bit, lean into it. And so I try to have fun with it and be just what is creative about this medium that you can't do with like maybe a longer form content piece, or how do you tell a story quickly? You know, I think that's what's interesting. And you do it so beautifully with your work. It's like with a quick, how do you hook someone in and tell a really exciting story, maybe in very much in the very beginning, and then keep them engaged. Yeah. So that challenge is really fun. And I'm sure in 5 years we'll have a new challenge. There'll be a new medium to do it on. And I think that's what's exciting about it, is that you just have to keep adapting. And so at first I hated it, and now I'm starting to love it, which is fun.
Do you find yourself gaining new fans through that too?
I do. Yeah. And you know, I don't even like, I always am aware that new fans can come from those worlds, but I think I saw with Jake too, because you know we have he's been a great person to collaborate with because he's really built his world from TikTok, and it's cool to see that a lot of people discover him on TikTok, but then really love his music. And I think that it's important for artists to realize it doesn't have to be shallow. Like, just because sometimes you feel like you're just making content to get your music out there, I think that there are real fans, obviously, that can like sink deep into the music you're trying to put out there. And it doesn't mean that it's just like bubbly or cookie cutter. I think you really can attract people who will stay. And I think that's one thing, at least I dealt with, that was a challenge, to say like, okay, are people even staying for the music? Are you even having fans really show up? But I think, yes, I'm starting to realize that, which is cool, because then it makes it feel less pointless. It makes it feel like you're not just trying to get creates. You're really trying to you're trying to connect with people in this medium. Yeah.
And you really are in control of that too, which is great, because beforehand, I guess, like a downside of the industry before TikTok was that like really songs that were taking off on radio were the songs that people were discovering and the artists that people were discovering. Yeah. Whereas now you can be in control of the people who discover your music, which I think is great.
So real. Pardon me.
No, you're good. I'm making some water too, actually.
Yeah, baby. I totally agree. Yeah. It's that form of it is what I'm always obsessed with, which is great. Yeah. Like the power in the artist's hands is always a win. It's not a loss. It's a cool thing that people can come out of their bedroom and become like global superstars. That's what artists have wanted for 50 years, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, okay, so the Jake collaboration, Bazzi collaboration out now. Can we expect any more collaborations coming up soon that you can sort of tease? Anybody that you're working with right now? I know you don't probably give like too much away, but
what's fun? What's a fun way to tease it? Yes, I do, of course. I collaborate so much that I need to like kind of slow down sometimes. I'm like, I have so much fun with it, but the collaborations that I have for this album that's coming out soon, I'm really excited about. I've got a couple cool secret ones. Some in different languages, I think, potentially. Some not. Nice. So I'm really hoping that everybody is as excited as I am about. I think I have 3 more features on the album that I think all in very different worlds, which is fun. So those are coming up. Some other exciting versions of strings, as usual, like we talked about with Teeny and Lights Down Low. I love the new versions. It keeps the energy going. So I've got some of those for strings, which I'm also excited about.
Piano version?
Ooh, yeah, we got maybe piano. We might have some other features too. We might throw some other features in the mix. So yeah, there's some cool stuff for that. And I actually have been, I have a couple songs that I co-wrote that are coming out very soon for some big groups that I also can't talk about, but yeah, there's one in particular that's an awesome K-pop group that comes out, I think, in October. So I hope people like that too.
That's coming up.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
It's a different feeling when like a song comes out that I co-wrote rather than a song that I'm on, or I'm it's like I don't know. It's more like I'm a cheerleader on the sideline, because I know that not everybody knows maybe my involvement. So that's always really fun. I did a bunch of stuff for the Jackson Wang's album as well. So that's coming out too.
I love Jackson Wang.
He's great. I did his co-wrote his last song, Cheeto, which was really a really fun song. Nice. Yeah, that one was so funny. I had a friend who unfortunately his ex cheated on him, and I wrote this song about it, and I kind of felt bad, so I gave him publishing on the song. I was like, yo,
no
man,
way.
This dude is gonna play this song at Coachella. Like, can I throw you some publishing on the
You're
song?
nice for that.
He deserved it, man. I mean, he was the inspiration. So anyway, yeah, a lot of songs coming out, and then I'm just excited for the album. I was telling you right before this, I was with one of my creative directors, and I'm right at the final stages. So thank you to the audience for being so patient, and it's coming so soon.
Well, yeah, creatively, what can we expect then from the album?
Ooh, you know, I've been on this, I think thus far, hopefully people have seen it, but like my last album, Color Vision, it was very, all the music videos were very, it was a very specific world. It was like, I never smiled, which is so funny because I'm always smiling. It was like, it was a very specific character and very colorful. And I think this world I've really been thriving off of capturing real moments. And so I had that with my song It's You with Keshi. The music video was just us creating the song. Luckily, we had that footage from my man Kenji, who was there. And then for strings, of course, it was me surprising my wife for our 7-year anniversary with, you know, so that theme, I'm really trying to find magical moments to capture that are real. And I'm so obsessed with that reality right now. So that's a big theme for this whole album. And like you said, I think people just want to see what's real right now.
Again, people just really love the idea that they can know anything about their favorite artist. So I love that you're doing that. Totally. And I think that your fans are probably really appreciating that. Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah. But Strings,
baby,
out now. Stay tuned for the album. I can't wait for this K-pop song that's coming up. I'm in my K-pop like era right now.
Oh, are you?
Ever since seeing Blackpink at Coachella.
Oh, yeah?
I've been obsessed with K-pop. So I'm really excited about that.
So many incredible groups that are popping. Le Sserafim, New Jeans. There's just incredible
50/50,
groups. 50/50, of course. 17. It's just, there's so many. A Tease, you know, it's like it's once you get into that world, you start to realize there's so many incredible groups and artists.
Well,
I'm glad you're in, baby. Let's go.
Stay tuned. All right. Is there anything else you want to say to people watching, your fans watching?
Do I want to say? Thank you, whether this is your first time meeting me or you've been with me since those Nickelodeon or cover days or my first songs like Lights Down Low. I appreciate the journey and much love, and whatever journey you're on, just keep fighting, keep pushing, and keep finding ways to believe in yourself and be confident, because you'll get there. You're always going to find a way to get there. The only person that's getting in the way is you if you give up. So if you don't give up, you'll get there. Much love.
That's powerful. Well, yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. It was great talking to you. Great knowing about your journey more.
Yeah, brother.
So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, baby. You too. Pleasure.